Well, hello and welcome to Wellness by Design today. I'm your host, Jane Hogan, and I am so excited today because as my guest, I've got Gillian O'Connell, and Gillian is a member of my Living Pain Free group. She's been a member for a year, and every once in a while, I like to have someone on to share in their success because I talk about it and I know what I've done and I keep sharing it, but some people might think, oh, well, she's special. No, I'm an ordinary person and I like to bring my other ordinary extra special people on as well. So, Jillian, welcome. Welcome to Wellness by Design today. Thank you so much for agreeing to be a guest.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm happy to do it. It's a pretty neat experience. It really has been.
Oh, I'm so happy that you've really embraced it. You came in just under a year ago.
Mhm.
Well, like me, you were diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, right? And
Yes.
we both know what that feels like. And anyone who has a diagnosis of a condition like that, you sort of feel a little bit hopeless, right? Because
That's right. Yeah.
there's not the prognosis isn't good. The medications come with side effects that are a little scary,
Yes.
and we're really not told that there's anything we can do. And but my message is to let people know there's a lot you can do, and you
Yes.
don't have to live with pain. So let's hear about you, Jillian. Tell us about what was your life like before you joined our group?
Yeah. Um, it's not just a year ago either. So I'm going to give you the 5 year ago story because it very much relates to what will become the end of yours and my discussion today. Um, so 5 years ago, that's when I received that diagnosis. Previous to the diagnosis, I'd had a lot of really strange symptoms, some scary, some not so much, and so I obviously sought out my medical doctor, and I uh, said to him, I have these feelings, and he said, okay, and I said, well, that those feelings are what is diagnosed as rheumatoid arthritis. Like, shouldn't I be getting a test for that? And he said, oh, I don't know. Well, yes, I could test you for that. Well, it came out that yes, I did. I had I got diagnosed with osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and Sjogren's, which is arthritis, a form of swelling or arthritis in the eyes.
Yeah.
So it was all started going on, right? The problem is when the pain was severe at that time, the option was a rheumatologist offering medication, as you just mentioned. And I'm a bit of a self-help guru. I always have been um, seeking out solving my own health issues. Like even my children, I have four lovely adult children now, but when they were young, I didn't go for the cough syrup for them right away or the aspirins or whatever was given to children at the time. I would get the steamer out and put some peppermint in there or something, like I've always been careful about medicines. Um, so I was not keen on what was offered to me. And so I went to the library. I think that's where I'm at here. I went to the library and I'm going to pull this out because this part of the story is pretty interesting. See, I've always wanted to help myself. In this case, with all this pain and hand swelling and wrist swelling and feet not working and knees not working and no sleep happening, I didn't know what to do for myself. So I
Mm.
went to the library and well, I started to go swimming because the rheumatologist told me I'd be good to swim. So I went swimming and it was the only place where I had no pain. So as soon as I got in the water and was floating, I was pain free, which was a relief. That worked for me. So then I listened to a podcast with Michael J. Fox. He's the man with Parkinson's from Back to the Future movies.
Right.
He in science, he has investigations into Parkinson's disease. And I have a quote from him that I held on to very tightly, so much so it was on the front of my phone. It was posted in my room. And the quote is, when someone asks him, how's he doing? He says, I'm working on it. And he says, and then he says, I don't project thoughts into the future. I do things to help myself today.
Mm.
So I took that quote and I tried to live it. And so I did what I could for myself in these moments, um, which included food. But before I got into the food, which started with a book from the library, I have 3 books I want to mention from the library. And the first book was all about osteoarthritis. But the gentleman who wrote it is a medical doctor. In fact, um, he used to play for the Super Bowl at the Miami Dolphins. He's a Yale molecular biophysical orthopedic surgeon. And he said, you can do it a different way.
Mm.
And that just blew me away, right? So I started to get to the back of his book and was feeling pretty good about that. Finding some ideas around eating. And I immediately stayed away from trans fats, which is a solid vegetable oil. So then I got a book called What Doctors Don't Tell You, all about medicines and their repercussions. I wasn't so pretty.
Mhm.
And then I got a book from Dr. Susan Bloom, who was a medical doctor for years. And she's got a master's in public health degree as well. And she became a functional medicine practitioner. And
Oh,
her book kind of guided my eating. So this is over the 5 years before you. Um, the other book that was really fascinating was this one by Norman Duhigg. He's a medical doctor who looks into the science of root cause. He has a functional medical clinic thing. Oh, Susan Bloom also mentioned functional medicine, which was the first time I'd ever heard that word. So
yeah.
I Googled it, and lo and behold, didn't I have one nearby, a functional medical clinic nearby. So they couldn't take me till after Christmas or something, but that's where I've been for 5 years, is getting help with herbal things, because that's the part of the treatment I never really could seem to get right. But this book, this Norman Duhigg book, has a story in it about a man with Parkinson's who taught people how to walk again. So he couldn't walk with his Parkinson's because walking sometimes the brain puts them off balance. So you're always falling. So there's a fear of falling, which breaks bones. So he found a way, and that way was to use um, a certain stride, a certain thought, a certain arm movement. He perfected it. And he
Interesting.
got so good at it, he was teaching others all over the United States where he lives. And then they excommunicated him from the Parkinson's Society. They said, we're sorry, we don't think you have Parkinson's anymore. And that story blew me away. I was like, okay, I'm not going to have RA anymore then, am I?
Yeah,
Oh, so
totally possible.
that was a really good book. And I was put onto it um, by my functional medicine practitioner. And this other one, Emotional Agility by Susan David, I was put onto her because emotions play a big role in this. And I obviously needed help with that. So I started this habit of crazy tracking with this book.
Right.
And I have to show you this because you cannot believe how much I was doing to help myself. So
Gillian, it's so funny. I did tracking as well, and it almost becomes a little obsessive, doesn't it?
it does. And that had been going on until, um, well, in January, like in October of 2022, when I saw your name in my email box, um, that for 5 years I've been tracking everything about myself and writing details. Was it this food? Was it that food? Um, did I sleep well? Did I not sleep well? Uh, you name it, I was tracking it. And it was helpful to me, to be honest, because I it made me feel like I knew what was going on. However, I still had high cholesterol issues with, how the cholesterol rises and you get a body response because of the insulin, blah, blah, blah. There's a science behind it. But that's all emotional. So I wasn't filling here. I got this up here. I wasn't getting the 7 aspects of health all the way around. I
Mhm,
was missing the emotional piece of the pie, I think.
mhm. So over those, so that was about 4 years, was it? Or was that 4 to 5 years?
Yeah.
You're working with functional medicine, you're reading books, you're really taking your health into your hands, you're graphing and charting and recording. And was this helping? Like, was your pain coming down? I mean, I said your, I don't like to say it. Was the pain coming
Yeah.
down?
Yeah. Um, yes. Yes, it was.
Mhm.
I got myself I was able to get my body to, release the stinging part of it. So, I always described it as bee stings all over me, and
Mhm.
then it became just like vibration and soreness and that sort of thing. So, I lived with vibration and soreness and stiffness. That's what I lived with.
Right.
Um,
So
that
that's
sort of
when you came into to my program, that's where you were.
yes,
Okay.
yes, um, I was taking the approach of, you know, uh, do the things you need to do. So I took up watercolor painting, as you can see behind me, because watercolor painting is not, unless you've done it for 25 years, I don't think you can perfect it. And apparently, even the imperfections are beautiful. In fact, one of the techniques is to imperfect the painting with dropping water where it doesn't belong and things like that. So I took that up. I've always loved art, and it gave me reprieve from the pain. It wasn't strong pain, like I said, but it was there all the time. And so the swimming took some time for me. The painting. So I'd go to a class, learn how to paint something, come home, and every day I'd try to spend an hour at painting, practicing how to paint. And it took my mind off it. And when I finished doing painting, um, I thought to myself, how come my hands don't hurt when I'm holding a brush? Why are my wrists and hands okay when I'm holding a brush? I used to question that a fair bit. It's like that's kind of neat,
And
right?
what do you think the answer is to that?
Um, I stopped thinking about the pain. I just wasn't thinking there. I was thinking about my piece of art that I'm doing. Oh, isn't this a pretty flower? Isn't that a nice color? Oh, I like that that turned out. You take your mind somewhere else. It was just a um, I know you understand what I'm saying right now because
Yeah.
you teach all of this, right? In your program, you teach all of this. You're not teaching watercolor, but you're teaching these things. And so yeah, that's what it did for me. It really gave me a reprieve. However, um, I have this you've seen this before. I posted it on our group thing. Um, this is that drawing I did when I had a girlfriend weekend. We did these boxes, and I painted mine like this because I wanted to have a visual of what my plan was, because that's what doing makes you do. You have a plan and you do that plan. And I had read the book by The Body Says No by Gabor Mate uh, years previous to any of this. And I knew not to fight with the disease. Don't fight with it. He taught me that in his book. He talks a lot about cancer and people who want to fight cancer and not to do that. Just to learn to be with it, accept it, and that sort of thing. So my little climb up here, I mean, I look like I'm climbing a mountain, which I am, and you would think that would be a struggle, but I'm pretty good at climbing, so it wasn't to make it look like a struggle. It was just more of a path and a journey to get me to the top, and I love the top of mountains. I have a painting I did of myself at the top of the mountain. It's where I feel I reached heaven. So this is the path away from the mountain, and
What's
that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in remission, and that's what that was about. So I wanted to sort of share that today because it's significant for what I want to tell you later. Yeah.
okay. All right. Well, we'll get back to that. So, uh, why did you feel then that there was still like something kind of missing, right? In this all this protocol you were working on? Was there something missing? Is that why you came to join our group? Was there still
Yes and no. I think I told you this one time. You know how Gmail comes up, and I was actually on Gmail looking. I was in the back of my mind. I've been searching for a yoga studio because my yoga teacher closed hers, and I still, even though my abilities were limited, I still like yoga, and I wanted to do some yoga. And during the pandemic, I did online yoga. It was not as nice as going to a studio, but I was doing some of it. So I was looking for yoga. So in my subconscious was the word yoga, and then your name and the word yoga came up. So I clicked you. And as soon as it opened, it talked about a health program that you gives you a coach. And I thought, this has got to be perfect. And so I showed it to my daughter just to make sure I wasn't, doing the wrong thing. And she said, "This sounds really great, mom. Like, look, it's going to have this, and this." I said, "Yeah, I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to sign up." So I signed up. I've got this written here somewhere. I signed up, and I don't know if it was the way I was raised or not, but I don't waste money. So paying for it really stamped it for me. It's like, okay, now you are going to be dedicated to this. You can do this with this help. So I ignited a new flame on the candle and took took it all in, and yeah, it's a whole different thing. And uh, wow, we can go on about what is my life like now. You want me to do that one?
Yeah, well, I just want to say before you get into that, that money is just energy, right? And so when we make a commitment with that energy, we're making a commitment to ourselves. And that like mentally, that is sending a message, that I'm worth it and this is important. And when you pay attention, right? So I mean, in the beginning, I remember thinking I want to coach people. I'll just coach people for free. And then I was talking with people. I said, no, people need to have pay something because it changes. It's just something in our brain. It changes because it's that commitment to ourselves and it's okay, I paid for it. It's worth something. I'm going to commit to it. So I'm so glad you made that commitment. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's hear about where you are now.
Yeah, where I am now is I'm just going to read from my page here a little bit. Much calmer.
Uh-huh.
Um, I have tools to use that work for me personally. The Living Pain Free group has so many choice things to choose from. Like you offer us ideas, you offer us other people's ideas. Um, there's a lot to choose from. So you, in some regard, you have to personalize it. Say, "Oh, I'd like to try that or try this." So I have tools that work personally for me. So many to choose from, and I embrace and practice many of them, continually being supported by a community, which is so lovely. And that's the key. Like I can't, when you're ill with anything, pain or not pain, when you're ill, nobody wants to talk to you. You're like you think that nobody wants to talk to you, and really you think all you have to talk about is your health. And I know that's not true now, but at the time, that's kind of where your head goes. And so
Yeah.
I just think I've overcome being part of the Living Pain Free group. Your coaching is excellent. The group itself, when we meet together, is so kind. It's so kind. People
It's
are so kind. I mean, I can say just about anything in there and they'll go, "Oh, I can understand that because this happened to me or that happened to me." And they are very empathetic and it's lovely. It's really nice. You do
you
feel
know
connected and it's connected through a screen and you think, "How does that work?" But it does. It really does.
well, getting into quantum physics, like, it really
Yes.
does matter, right?
That helps it.
Right? The
Yeah.
energy is still connected. But yeah, so we meet twice a month. I do a Zoom group coaching call twice a month. So this is what Jillian's talking about when we meet. And there could be, 6 people on, there could be 12 people on, just whoever shows up that day. There's also an opportunity to ask questions if you can't make it, and I can answer the questions. I answer those questions that come in first. But when the group is small enough, we can actually get around to everybody. And I usually ask, what's what are you grateful for? Because gratitude is such a powerful emotion. When we feel gratitude, we don't feel lack. Right. So when we normally, if you're in pain or if you've got some kind of illness, you're definitely feeling lack. But when we can focus on gratitude, it changes that. So I always ask, what are you grateful for? What's one thing you're grateful for? What's going well, right? So that we can celebrate the wins. And then what do you need help with right now? I also ask where are you on the path because I've got a
Yes.
success
Yeah.
path as well.
Yeah.
So asking where people are just because I want to keep kind of bringing people back to I have a step 6 step path to follow with uh, easy. Well, maybe some of them aren't so easy, but because some of them are habit like changes, but there are actions to take with each step. So
Yeah.
trying to lay it out for people so that there's a bit of a guide, but of course it can always be personalized. But anyway, in these group coaching sessions, they are really lovely. I'm doing the coaching, but also I invite any of the others to offer things as well because sometimes they've gone through something that maybe I haven't gone through and they can offer what worked for them. So it's just a really loving, compassionate, supportive group. And I love they're my favorite times of the month to those two
Yeah.
meetings. Yeah, they're
Yeah, they can be.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, they're recorded. So there are some people that, say the daytime one they can't make, or for whatever reason they can't make it, but they watch them and they say they still get so much out of the
Yeah,
coaching.
or if you've been at it and you wanna hear what someone said a second time, I've done that. I've gone back and said, like, "What was it that she was talking about? I'm gonna go listen to that," like, one of the people in the group, and it's very useful that way to have it taped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, part of the reason why I created this group was that I needed a community. And because I totally get what you're saying, Jillian, about, you don't really necessarily want to dwell on it, with your friends, but you kind of want to feel understood. And that's the thing, I think,
Yes.
with
Yes,
other
that
people that don't have an illness or
mhm.
your kind of illness, then they don't really understand. But in this group, we've got a group that does understand, and we laugh, we cry, we do
Yeah, it's
all the things.
true.
It's not all like, let's talk about our pain. There's actually a lot of great things going on.
True. It's
Right?
true. I
Yeah.
love it when I love it when, um, I think it might be Karen, she was getting a new stove. And we talked about stoves for a little while. It was kind of fun.
And then we have Anita sometimes reading her poetry.
Yeah.
It's always very inspiring. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great things. So yeah, those are really good. So how is the pain though, Jillian? Like after this period of time, has the pain come down, or like what's changed in your life?
Um, so you're asking about how I think you're asking me how I've sort of transformed over the last
Yeah,
year with you?
yeah.
Yeah. Um, hmm, well, that's a loaded question. Um, yeah, I practice, you know what? I practice the tools that you teach us. I practice them every day. And um, each time I learn a new tool, if I can't remember it, like I have my journal and I use that like my journal. Yes, right here. Yeah. I think the title Living Pain Free kind of says it all. I mean, I could go into details about myself. Um, but I think what's happened is the same thing that happened when I was swimming or doing art.
Mhm.
I just don't think about it so much.
Yeah.
I don't need it to be in control of my every move sort of thing. Um, and I've learned to, um, you learn so much in here. I can't begin. You learn to control your thoughts in ways that help you go about your life,
Right.
live your life. So, what an example would be is I think I talk about this a bit later, but an example would be um, I I would I would fear going out to dinner or going to someone's house for dinner because of food restrictions. Now, of course, I am a lot better uh, generally with that, so I can tolerate some mistakes in that. But I used to fear doing that. Now, if I'm invited out to a lunch or to a gathering with people and they're having lunch, I know what my choices are. So I can, and I've learned this through the coaching. You don't have to say no. You can say no. That's okay. But if you feel in your heart you want to go, go. Take food with you or have something to eat before you go. One time in particular, not that long ago, actually, I got really unnerved because I was going to someone's house, a new girlfriend of a friend of ours, and she had invited us over. And I didn't know what to do. Like, do I tell her I can't eat that food? What do I do? And then I thought, oh, you just phone her up. You just phone her up and you say, just to let you know, what can I bring? Because, I have these food things that I'm careful of. And oh, she said, well, thanks for letting me know. Like, of course, she's thankful for me letting her know. What was I, even hesitant about letting them know? I don't know. It's kind of silly. But that's what happens in your head. You kind of go, oh, I can't go because of this or because of that. But I really want to go. So those decisions are easier for me to make now than they were before practicing and that sort of thing. So,
Yeah. I
I
think
think you're living. I'm pain free. Yes. I'm not feeling pain all the time. No, I'm not.
and you're
But
living
I'm be
your life. You're living your life, right? So it's
yes.
and this is kind of one thing I do. We're not really focusing on how do I stop this pain. It's more like how do I feel good? How do
Yeah.
I feel good? And then keep feeling that. Right. Keep doing the things that keep you feeling like that. And eventually, because I mean, part of pain is those neural pathways, right? It does kind of get wired and wired, and the more we think,
Yes.
the more it gets
Yes.
wired. So
Yes.
kind of like with your painting, when you're painting, you're not thinking about it. And so those synapses can start to weaken and like atrophy after a while, like
Yeah.
muscles. And so that's where the focus is really is on feeling good. What can I do to feel good?
Yeah. And so like initially 5 years ago, I was told to draw these cards. This is how I can feel good, right? These are things I do that make me feel good. They're and and so I concentrated on these things,
So
doing
Jillian, I know some people
yoga.
listening, not watching, and so Jillian's holding up like some postcard size drawings that she's done. And so that helps you feel good.
Yeah, but um I don't need them anymore. I
Mm.
took them down a while ago. Um something I have written here. I took them down because I don't need them. I can um, I can just be myself. I can just say, "Oh, today I'm going for a walk in the woods." But I do have a good story from this summer. How much time do you have?
We got a little bit of time.
um, so the three the are we on the mind shifts? The three biggest mind shifts I had were um, worthiness, speaking up, and having a clear vision. And I
Beautiful.
I can say those were my top ones. And then the energy codes book, um, and the design plan that you embrace for this program also has trained me in ways of being that I never did before. I mean, yoga, yes, I've done that before, but the specialty breath work is pretty amazing. And I can use it anywhere and people don't even know I'm using it. So I like that. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
so it's
central
it's
channel breathing.
tools help regulate the nervous system because
Yeah.
part of what leads to illness is dysregulation of the nervous system. And so, there's all these tools, and you talked about that there is a lot, but it's kind of like I think of it like a bookshelf, and you're not going to read every single book at one time, right? You're going to
Right.
have a couple that you're working on reading through, and
That's right.
for now, and maybe those are favorites you might come back to, but so I've got the success path, and I've got monthly content as well.
Yes. And they interrelate, they're integrated
Yeah,
a bit. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So the mind shifts are pretty incredible. Um, this bracelet I'm holding up, I've been wearing it since a year ago, almost a year ago, when we did our worthiness month. And this is made out of stones. They're shiny and soft. Um, they remind me of my worthiness. They also, because they're stones, I think of them as my a little bit of strength in that regard for myself and love for myself. Um, it's very strange. I grew up beautifully. I came from a beautiful family, mother, father, and siblings, and I have my own beautiful family. So you ask yourself, why does someone like me not feel worthy? And I think I learned that it just sort of happens over time that you put other people first. People like me, we think of others first and we always take the second road and or the second piece of pie or whatever. And that's kind and everything. But this month woke me up to the fact that there is this little beautiful person inside me, my soul, that is full of joy and happiness and really wants out.
Let her out.
Let her go. So that was a really pivotal month for me. It also taught me something very important that people forget, and that those people who are always helping others forget to receive and receive with like a grace of some kind, like a thank you, or to receive and also to ask for help. And
Yeah.
I don't often do it. And this is reminding me to it's okay to ask for help and sometimes and oftentimes say yes when someone offers it. And then just be gracious and accept it.
You mentioned the book, When the Body Says No by Gabor. Actually, I have it right on my desk here. I love this book, and it's not a new book; it's an old book. And
No, it's good 12 years old. Yeah.
you mentioned a study in there that was done in the '60s of people with not rheumatoid arthritis, but rheumatic diseases, they call it. And one of the personality traits that was very common across all of them was hyper independence, not asking for help. And
Mhm.
my gosh, that described me so well.
Yes.
And you know what? It doesn't really matter. He talks about how a lot of it comes from childhood or whatever, but it doesn't matter where it came from. What we're n- what we care about now is noticing, huh? I notice that I do that, and so how can I take little steps, right? We always talk about baby steps.
Yes, I
Take
do.
take
Yes.
baby steps that are going to kind of counter that, and because that's a sign that, like, we're not worthy of it. We think, like, we're not consciously thinking this, but subconsciously thinking, I'm not worthy of asking for help. I'll just do it myself. Right.
Yes.
And it's so not true because, well, other people want to help. Think about your friend that you just mentioned when you called.
Yes.
People want to help. And why would we deprive someone of the opportunity to help us?
Exactly. That's right.
So I love that. So we talk a lot in this program about a way of being rather than doing. And I mean, I started off kind of like you, like doing a lot of do, a lot of.
Yeah.
So I was doing the foods, I was doing the
Yeah.
supplements, I was doing the doing and doing and doing. And what I came to realize is I kind of had to surrender. That is one of the steps in my process. I had to surrender to being. So, what does that mean to you as being
Mhm.
versus being? What does that mean to you, Jillian?
Um, being worth of doing. Hmm. Doing is a busyness to me. It's being busy and accomplishing, being able to check off that you accomplished something, maybe even 20 things in an hour. It's sort of overboard.
Yeah.
It's living overboard. And sometimes life calls us to do that, but it's not good for everyday life.
Mhm.
I I recognize that. And I think because of my education, the psychology behind losing, or I shouldn't say losing the use of my hands, but having uh, um, an illness that sort of
Challenge.
challenges me off my feet with my hands. Um, it, uh, it makes you think, okay, why my hands and feet? And if you make that psychological connection, you realize that you need to slow down. You just need to slow down. I think right at the beginning with you, it was fall last year, and I was raking some leaves at our cabin, and I was just going at them like there was no tomorrow. And all of a sudden, my wrists started to pain me a little, and I just took that breath that we've talked about, and I just started saying, "Slow down." And then the song came to me, "Slow down, you move too fast." You know that song? And I thought, yeah, that's just what I need to do. You don't need to rake like there's no tomorrow. Just slowly rake. Doesn't matter. And I have pretty much, I'd have to say, almost always now, I am able to be slow and steady with everything and be accepting of what doesn't get done. It's okay. Doesn't matter. Maybe another day, or maybe it was never intended to get done. Who knows? It doesn't matter. So I think being is that type of thing where you take your baby steps all the time, and you live life, do the things you would like to do with your life. So I don't know if this is a good time to tell you, but I love going for walks in the woods. Um, Walks in the woods I find very meditative, and sometimes it's a great place to visit with a friend because they're chatting along as you go. And it's just it's lovely. If the sun's out, the sun's sparkling through like stars. And um, it was even on one of my cards. You noticed that probably. So I like walks in the woods. So this summer I was struggling a little. One of my knees was talking to me, and I was struggling to walk any distance, but I walked every day anyway, and I would walk half a kilometer or a kilometer because I've learned that baby steps matter. And so I did that, and I thought, I'll work my way up, and this by the end of summer, I'll do 5 kilometers, and that would be great because there's a good trail at 5 kilometers. So I worked at that, and I got stalled, and I thought, "No, what's going on?" So we've learned techniques. When you have a stall, you have questions you can ask yourself. So I went through that, and I made a decision to get help, ask for help, which is again, I'm learning, right? And so I asked my rheumatologist to help me with my knee because I don't take the medicine he offers me, but I know he has other techniques that he can use. And so he aspirated my knee. And within, I kid you not, by the time I walked out of that office, I was a new person. It was just unbelievable. It was great. So by yeah, by the next day I was walking a good 1 kilometer and taking it easy to build baby steps again. But then during the summer, I was going on a hike with friends, and, I put on the little app that tells you how far you're walking, and then I shut off her voice so she wouldn't tell me too much. And, I walked 7 kilometers, 7 on a rugged trail.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
So I'm very happy with that, and that's me living my life, living the life I want to live and doing it with joy and happiness, as we had a great time that day.
I love that you tuned into your inner wisdom and said, "What do I need right now?" Like, but this isn't about never like taking medications or anything like that. But it's like,
No,
what's the best thing I can do to serve me right now, so that I can be have that sense of freedom, right? Be the person that feels free and is living my life the way I want to live it. So that's a great story, Jillian. Thank you
yeah,
so much for that.
yeah, I was proud of that win, Jane. I love talking about my wins, and that's one of my favorite ones from this summer, so I'm really happy about that. Um, so that was my uh oh, I did wanna mention, this might be helpful to someone. When I was with the people who walked with me that day, they are relatives, and they know my story, I'm gonna call it that, and, they were concerned, right? "Are you sure you want to go that far? Are you" what were they saying to me? They're concerned for distance and ruggedness. My answers were, "I can walk. I feel good. Let's see where we can go." And I just let it happen. I didn't try to do it or control it or perfect it. I
Mhm.
just let it open up and be what it was gonna be, and I had just a great time that day.
And
Yeah.
was there a little element there? Because I talk about visualization. You mentioned that visualization,
Yeah.
your mindset.
Yeah.
Did you like visualize it ahead of time and see yourself? Because you're a very visual person with your
Yeah.
baby. Were you kind of visualizing it ahead of time and seeing it as a successful and enjoyable day? Was that part of it for you? Did you consciously?
Um, my desire was strong, for sure, um, and my need to do it was strong. I I just didn't wanna stay around. I wanted to go into the woods. So yes, but did I visualize my walking? No, because, um, I have neurologically, if you wanna put it, trained myself to walk at a pace that's good for me and not think so much about walking and what that feels like in my feet. I just walk. And yes, could I visualize it and say, "Oh, I'm going to feel wonderful and great"? I could do that, and I could, draw pictures of it and whatnot. That would be probably useful for some people, but I don't need to. Um, I feel like the presence of the trees around me help me to walk.
So yeah, you're in the moment, you're enjoying you're enjoying the trees. So you mentioned earlier, like the light coming through, sparkling through, the feel of walking, the people around you and all that. So I
Yeah,
mean that's a big thing, right? Is being in the moment. And sounds like you're making that happen, Jillian.
yeah.
So
One step at a time.
one step at a time, right? So so you're in living your life now. And I think this has
Yeah.
come across in some of our group coachings, like kind of
Yeah.
before you were holding back because didn't want to hurt yourself, didn't want to, and now you're living
Mhm.
your life. And I mean,
It's
that's
true.
really what we want, right? We want to be able to live our life and do the things we want to do. So just congratulations to you, Jillian.
Thank you.
I just thought I like acknowledge the great commitment you've made to yourself to being right, to being the
Yes.
person that you want to be and making it happen. So
So
well
I
done,
just
my friend.
can thank you very much. And just to go along with this never give up one that I made 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago, I was at one of your workshops, as you'll recall, last December, I think it was. And shortly after I had an experience at your workshop that sort of changed some of my thinking as far as uh, timelines and having timelines. And I knew it was coming up to the 5-year mark with uh, my body being the way it is. And I liked this thing that happened to me during your workshop. I think you took us on a meditation and you asked us to travel to the moon and then come back down and talk to yourself 5 years from now and ask yourself how you're doing. Something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a freakish great experience. It literally was because myself told myself, "You're okay. Get on with your life. You're gonna be great. Just go."
Oh my
So
gosh, I got goosebumps.
I know it was so amazing. I thought, "Yeah, I'm right." And I'm just like, "Okay." So I really took that in and contemplated it a lot. What I had said to myself in this meditation, and then shortly after, I lost an aunt of mine, and I was working on a computer screen with pictures when flashed up a picture of a mountain with a bicycle coming down it. Okay, so I thought, what is that? And it seemed to be disappearing. I mean, it sounds hooey dooey, doesn't it? But it seemed to be not going to last on the screen. So I quickly took my phone and took a photograph of it, and I painted it. And now I have my life now, which is
I love it.
me. I mean, I love mountains, but this is me taking off wherever I go. I don't know where I'm going. I don't have that plan, but I'm living it. And
Uh,
I'm living it on a bicycle for some reason or other.
That's beautiful, and that picture that you just showed, so Jillian held up a picture that she painted, and it just looked like so much energy and so much vibrancy in that picture.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, beautiful. I love
Mhm.
it, Jillian, and I'm so
Yeah.
happy for you.
Thank
Um,
you.
so I've got one question that I always ask, and so usually, I have these
Yeah.
experts on, and they're offering, but you're an expert now, right, in your life and and creating a life of freedom. So what would you say is one thing someone could do today that's going to begin to create a healing environment in their body? What would you tell them? Like the one baby step. We always talk about the baby steps. So
We
what would be
do.
the baby step they could do today?
Every day I do. Um, I want to shorten it to dance through your life because dance has been a big thing for me lately. But I think what I want to tell people is to find what tools work for you and practice what you know feels good and right because it's for you. It's not what others are doing that matter. It's for you. So learn as much as you can and pick and choose your steps toward your life and what works for you. And you're always teaching us how do you feel? And if you feel it's good, then it's good. And that really helps you to envision the next step, whatever that's going to be. I mean, we can list. I went through the diet changes. I'm loving myself better. I do what brings me laughter and joy. I go slow and steady. I'm reading because I can't remember them all, but um, in the group coaching for me brings it to me, and I pick and choose, and I go away feeling helped, very helped.
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. And I love that you really honed in on we know, right? Like we have that version of yourself that you visited in that guided meditation
Yeah,
5 years from now. Like we all had that. We all have this higher, wiser part of ourselves that has the answers. We just gotta listen and tune in. But we also kind of know, right? We know what feels good for us. Like things that were fun when you were a child or things that are fun for you now where you kind of lose yourself. Though do more of those things. And
yeah, yeah,
yeah. And it's that got nothing to do with like, what we normally think of as health things. But these things that make us feel good, the reason why they work is because it calms our nervous system down. We're
yeah,
having fun. And anytime we can calm our nervous system down
yeah.
so that we get into that relaxation state, then our body can do what it does naturally. It will heal
Mhm.
in that state. It can't heal if we're not in that state. So love that. So simple, but like
Yeah,
profound and beautiful, Jillian. So
yeah.
thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
And
You're welcome.
thank you for being so brave and being a guest today. I know it's not your normal thing to kind of be on the podcast. So I really appreciate that you said
Oh,
yes when I asked you. And
yes.
I just love to share your wins and the realness of it and hopefully inspire some other people that you can live your life again. You can
Yes.
live your life again and feel the freedom. And that's really what we're about here. So thank you so much, Jillian, for being a guest today.
You're welcome, Jane. It's lovely to be here with you. I hope someone had gleaned one thing from what I said. It would be good.
I'm sure that has happened. And I always say, if we just have one person, that's a lot of do. So thank you to people watching and listening. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, please share this with them. And if you've liked it, let us know. Leave a review, leave a comment, give us a thumbs up. It helps this podcast reach more people and helps it get will help other people find freedom in their life too. All right, have a great day, everyone, and we'll talk to you again soon.